think we're live. Woo! Hey everybody, this is Anna Abramowitz, and listen, this is very important. Today I want to share with you how you have to really carefully choose the people that you're getting to collaborate with you on your e-learning projects, especially your subject matter experts, because the insight that that person will give you will heavily impact the outcome and how good the result is that you're going to produce. So today, what I wanted to do is give you a quick overview of kind of the learner temperature, because the psychology and the learner temperature that somebody has while they're experiencing your learning is a very huge indicator of whether they will actually get value from what you've produced. So your thing could be magic, right? But if the people that are actually looking at what you're learning haven't emotionally connected with the learning journey yet, then what will happen is they won't see its value and they won't finish it. So how do we get them engaged in the right way? So first, let's just talk about where your people are at. And if you guys are here, you want to say hi, go for it, say so in the comments. I'd love to hear that you're visiting, and happy Monday. All right, so let's just first talk about the learner temperature. And I also talk about this in my webinar more in depth, so go to elearningsecrets.com. That's where you get the full description of this. But basically, about 50 years ago, somebody came up with this genius idea on it's a learning model based on competence, right? And so what I've done is I've just kind of like squished it and simplified it for you, so it's shorter words and easier to remember, and also easier to think about your learner this way. So I see the learners as being in three categories usually, right? There's the cold, warm, and hot. So when somebody is in the cold state and they're actually just doing great. They're happy with the world as is. They don't have any issues. They don't see anything wrong with their performance. They are, so they're cold to any kind of instructions being presented to them because they don't actually feel that they need them. So they're cold, right? Then we've got warm people. Warm learners are basically ready. They've already become aware that something's off, like they're doing things and they're seeing other people do stuff, and they're like, wait a minute, this is not as efficient as I could be. Look at Jim over there. He's kicking butt. How come? Wait a minute. But if they are not motivated or supported in any way at this stage, right, they could just go back into their comfort zone, which is cold, and be like, hey, it's okay. Life's all right. Whatever, right? It's not my fault. Then there's hot learners. Hot learners are like, whoa, they're aware, right? They are aware they have a gap. And then they're also like emotionally connected. They're like, if I take on this challenge of learning, stepping out of my comfort zone, and I know I'm going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be awesome because I'm going to get this outcome in the end. This is a hot learner, right? And this is a place where I dare say a lot of our learning is designed in mind that all of our learners are right here, right? They're like, yeah, I can't wait for another e-learning module. It's going to be amazing. But the challenge is, right, that most of the people that we talk to, that we present our information to, are in the cold zone. And I'm not saying that maybe many of your learners are not in the hot zone already. That's great. But if somebody's in the hot zone, they're going to go out and find your stuff, right? They're going to go out and look for it. Like, you got a problem you want to solve, you're going to find the tutorials, you're going to find the courses, you're going to find the workshops. But if you're here and I'm presenting you with info, it's like it's like bouncing off of a mirror, right? They're like, why are you presenting this to me? I'm good. Life's great. So what I want you to think about is there's other things, there's other ways to engage these people, and that's definitely what I talk about with interactive storytelling. But when you're creating resources for people, especially scenarios, especially a story to engage somebody and move them from the hot to cold, or from the cold to hot, one of the things you have to do is you have to source the right people to help you with your interactive stories and your scenarios. Because when you start a project, this might happen to you. When you start a project, you're given maybe assigned a subject matter expert. Now, the subject matter expert is a person who has already arrived, right? They're already an expert. So in this case, they're not even, like, they probably don't even remember what it's like to be a hot learner because they already know everything, right? They're like, yeah, this is valuable. I know it's valuable, and I already know how to do it all. So they can give you the really, really good information as far as the accuracy of your scenarios, the validity of the consequences, the validity of the answers, and where to get the best resources, right? But the one thing they will not be able to tell you most times is what it's like to be right here, and what it's like to get somebody to actually realize that there's not only a gap, but that it's worth for them to actually step out of their comfort zone and start on this journey of learning. So if your expert is somebody who is not actually in the field working there every day, and they've been doing it for quite a long time, they're very much removed from a person who's like, I'm fine, everything's great, don't need to tell me a new thing, right? So what you need to do is you need to fill this gap with a practitioner. So here we've got a subject matter expert, and here we've got a practitioner. And a practitioner is somebody who is not only working in where, basically the person you're designing the scenarios for, they're working in that environment. That's their reality. Whatever you're crafting, they live that every day. So that's the best place to source those people. But also you want somebody who is not only at the top of their game, because you don't want somebody who's not at the top of their game, right? Why would you really talk to them? You want to emulate the best behaviors, but also one of the things you're doing is you're also very much trying to find people who have become this awesome practitioner in the past 6 months to a year. Why? Well, you're doing this because you need somebody who remembers what it was like not knowing this stuff. And you need to have somebody in that you can source who remembers what it was like to make all those mistakes. Because guess what? That's going to be awesome information for you to craft your awesome scenarios, right? And alternatives. So you need to talk to people who are living that. And I mean, I work with subject matter experts. They've been experts for like a decade. They have no clue what it's like. It's not that they don't want to. They'll try so hard to tell you why somebody would make a mistake, but they won't remember it. That's not in their DNA anymore. In their DNA is now the optimal path, right? So that's what you got to think about. You got to get to, whenever you're starting your guys, some of you, this is your modus operandi, right? You're like, I've been doing projects for years. It's awesome. Now there's more, of course, right? There's more projects. That's fine. That's great. But if you want to design meaningful interactive stories and scenarios, you got to talk to these two people and upfront ask for these people on your projects. All right. So the practitioner is there to fill the contextual gap. It will never be just the subject matter expert, especially if they're removed from that role. And one of the things that what's really cool is in our interactive storytelling community, which I run, we have people who are, let's say, developing their own portfolio pieces. But one of the things that they're doing is they're trying to solve a problem for not only themselves but for other people, right? So they're let's say they're creating something where they had an experience that was a really bad medical experience, right? And they might be saying, hey, I don't want anybody else to suffer through this, so I'm going to create an interactive story to help people get better prepared for this and show them some awesome resources, right? Super awesome. Now, one of the things that's happening is when you design a story like that, when you're doing it for yourself and you're kind of solving your own problem, you are your own subject matter expert, right? And you have to be kind of careful because you might need to have to actually talk to other people who are practitioners who just recently went through this to be able to get the kind of context that you need, because you're in your own head, right? So it's funny because, we think that, our experience is enough, but sometimes we do need to step outside even if we're designing our own pieces. The advantage, though, of designing your own interactive story, and a lot of people have told me this, is that, the sign-off is a little quicker because you're the expert. So that's always a fun thing, and definitely a part of this process. Now, the other thing that's kind of cool is if you're designing a piece, like an interactive story for your portfolio, one of the things you want to do is you want to create something that people will find valuable and want to share. But also that other adults will find probably, engaging and want to go through several times because it teaches them something, right? So that's a part of the community, is you get to test that out a little bit before you put it out to the entire world. So that's a cool benefit. Now, if this is something that you want to get involved with and you're thinking about how can I create something meaningful to engage people let's say you have an organization and everything you have is really meant for the hot learner. It's an LMS full of amazingness, but nobody's going in there because your place is loaded with a bunch of these cold learners. Well, baby, you got to get yourself an interactive story, because that is the emotional connection that helps you sell them basically on this journey, because it's not easy stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? So I hope you agree with that, because we're not reading Wikipedia pages for fun. We only read them if we're bored, and also if we need to find out something, because we're already in that hot zone, right? We're already engaged. We want to know more. So how do we get them there? And it is through interactive storytelling. So if you are interested in that, let's talk, right? I have a quick chat. You can book a strategy session with me. It's totally free. But basically you get to figure out where your gaps are and what you can do to move yourself forward, because this isn't necessarily intuitive. I think a lot of the stuff in the hot zone, designing great learning, is already quite intuitive for people, but how to get people emotionally connected and actually create awesome scenarios to get them there, to help them realize their gaps, that's not intuitive yet. So I can help you with that. All right, so I hope that was helpful, and now you know you got to negotiate for these two kinds of people. If you found it useful, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. That'd be awesome. And also, if you have any questions, of course I'm here. So post your questions, and I will do another video to answer them, or reach out to me and we can chat. All right? Have a wonderful, super awesome Monday. Take care, friends. Bye.